Welcome, Mr. Pierre. Episode 23 of InfoSec Real. We've made it so far. How's it going?
It's going well. I've got the I've got a slight illness. You know, the kids are back at school and everything like that. So everything's just growing. The petri dishes are back in action now. We've had almost 2 years of people not communicating and socializing. So they've kept their germs at home. And now those people are sharing their germs and licking each other again. So
Yeah. Well, there's too many jokes there about you licking people, but I'm not going to go there. So.
I think what I need to do is just stay in this office, and then like the scene out of ET where they have like the house in a bubble or something like that. That's what I need to do. So when people come in, they have to go through a chamber and get sprayed with disinfectant.
Much like the entry to the InfoSec landscape. If you're breaking in, that's what it can feel like on the outside, I reckon.
Yeah.
We're all in this little InfoSec bubble, and there's this perception that you can't get in. You've got to be a virus to break in.
You've got to be a virus, or you've got to be an elite hacker to break in. And even then, it's like, how do you become a hacker? Well, you either message someone on Twitter saying, "Can you hack someone's Facebook for me? Teach me how to hack." I love those ones. You always see them under your YouTube comments. You always get them,
mate. I see so many of them. I get loads of private messages as well on usually on Twitter, where people are like, "Oh, hey, can you teach me how to write some malware? Because I'd really like to do that for educational purposes." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to ignore this one." But it's funny, isn't it? But people, what's strange there is that people think malware is some like special coding language, you know what I mean? And they realize that actually it's just legitimate code. It's just, it's the intention of that code that is malicious, as opposed to it being like.
Do you know what? It's because it's Hollywood. It's Hollywoodized. Hollywoodized. Yeah. And I watched a video on YouTube. It must have been last night or 2 nights ago. And I think it was either Variety or Verge, and it was talking about. They had a elite hacker on there. She even had like her fingerless gloves and everything. So she was serious. She was scoring movies. She was scoring movies based upon movies and TV shows based upon their legitimacy in their like hacking scenes.
Okay. Like Mr. Robot and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, like Mr. Robot, I think she gave a 10 to for like I think season 1 where he goes to the CTF. Like she said, I think she gave it a 9.5 because there was no way he would figure out. Yeah. He'd be able to walk into the room and figure out exactly what the issue was without any like pre knowledge or anything like that. But everything was correct in the scene. The most interesting one, which I've seen the Matrix many times, but in the original Matrix, right, when Trinity is she's hacking into something, and she uses Nmap in that film.
Oh, wow.
And you forget how old Nmap is, because the original Matrix is 1990, so it must have been done in 1998, roughly. No, 1999. So she uses Nmap, and she uses an exploit script in Nmap to I think it was like an SSH brute force, and it was I watched it thinking, oh my gosh, like when I first watched that, like I had no, you don't make any kind of take any notice of what's going on, but yeah, that was like the most realistic scene in a film that she kind of like scored 10 out of 10
That's
for.
interesting. Yeah, I never knew that about Matrix. I'm gonna go and find that scene and see what the flags were that she was running. That's funny.
Triple V. That's mine.
Yeah. Dash PN's mine to avoid the ping. If you've got a host that's blocking ping requests or whatever. It's well known, isn't it, that Mr. Robot was like super accurate. Like they researched it with like proper cyber people on like proper red teamers or whatever. And like all the commands and the scripts and everything that's on screen is like pretty credible.
No, super credible. I think when I first watched Mr. Robot, actually, that was I think I researched some of the scripts that they were using just to see if they were real, and they were like real GitHub repos. I think it was the first time I used what is it, Recon NG?
Oh right, okay.
I think that was the first time I used it. Was seeing it in there, because I'd never used it before. And to be fair, I think it was the last time I used it as well. Actually, I just didn't really get along with it.
Aircrack was a good one for me. I used to like messing with that, sending deals packets out to my neighbours and stuff like that, capturing Wi-Fi handshakes and stuff. Yeah,
but didn't you need a very specific wireless card in your machine?
You did, yeah. I've got it somewhere. It might even be over there, plugged into one of my Raspberry Pis. But anything that runs in promiscuous mode, you can use. But there was this one which is called an Alpha RT218, blah blah whatever. Yeah, like 2 little aerials on it, just to kind of like give you a bit of range really to pick up. But anything in promiscuous mode, if you've got an external antenna on it, perfect. And then you can sniff stuff going around. So.
Do you remember the days of people were making like making Wi-Fi antennas with Pringles cans?
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Directional antennas. No one does that anymore.
Yeah, well, they do. Yes, they do.
Do people still do war driving? It's still a thing.
I don't know necessarily war driving nowadays, but yeah, I think I played a lot with Kismet. And actually, fairly recently, we were chatting about it. I don't know, 6 months ago or something. When looking at sniffing the MAC addresses of people walking past your house at 3 a.m, that kind of thing. It's all that kind of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, so. Yeah. I guess like the war driving thing is probably died a little bit.
So what's that like? Driving around looking for
like open access points? Yeah, driving around looking for open access points. Just because I think by default everything is WPA2 now, unless there's like another WPA2 exploit coming out. But even then, like what do we have on our home networks that if someone had my Wi-Fi password, great, you can use my internet. Like other than that, like there's not. I think I'm in a lucky position where I have like a segregated network anyway. But even then, like everything is in the cloud. Like I got rid of my Plex media server because it was too difficult for the family to use. So everything's in the cloud. So like if you jump to my LAN, like you're probably going to see my laptop, and that's about it really. And I don't have like remote desktop turned on, and so I think a lot of those attack vectors. So for the home space, I think a lot of that risk kind of like has come down a little bit. And yeah, I guess you'll have like IoT devices that won't natively have any security controls built in, so they're probably like wide open just on your LAN network.
Yeah, it's probably just I mean, if someone was going to go to that lengths to find an open internet connection they wanted to use, it's probably because they wanted to use you as a proxy for their like dirty traffic or whatever. But yeah, no,
you're going to see them. You're going to see them sat outside your house.
Yeah, exactly. It's a strange white van with a big aerial pointing at your living room. Anyway, what is going on in the world of cybersecurity and information sec? What have you got for us today? It's been a strange old time, because I remember last time I was like, oh come on, when's there going to be like a big hack? Like when's going to be something amazing coming on? But we should mention, we have been denied by NSO Group. We don't forget about that. We tried to bring NSO to the masses, and they said no. They said no way, NSO. Yeah, I think they were very professional about it. They didn't close the door; they left it ajar. That maybe not at this moment in time that it's not appropriate for them to come on our pod, but maybe one day we'll have someone from NSO come and talk to us about what it's like to work in that environment and what the aftermath has been in relation to the media stories around Pegasus and stuff like that. I imagine they're trying to just keep a low profile now and go back into those shadows and carry on operating. But you've got a Pegasus related story.
I have, and that was a little bit of a segue into a Pegasus related story. So Talos Security, so our friends over at Cisco, have been doing some research into fake Pegasus websites, which when there's always an opportunity, there's always an opportunity for the bad guys to get there. They'll be there first. So it looks like a couple of groups have been creating Amnesty International scrapes, been scraping Amnesty International's webpage and been putting up fake Pegasus malware cleaning software. So the actor was calling it AV Pegasus. So Amnesty International anti-Pegasus software, which the actor is calling AV Pegasus. So the website looked like Amnesty International, all the same logos and everything like that. You would download the piece of software. If you're in InfoSec, you kind of got to understand what this is already. It's going to be a rat tool. So you download the software. There's some fancy animations to say scan if Pegasus. It's probably going to say no Pegasus found. But then you're going to have a rat installed on your endpoint, and that's it. You've been compromised.
So is it targeting mobile devices then?
It's targeting it from this one. This is targeting Windows.
Okay.
So this is a Windows device, and that's a strange thing. Do you know what I mean? Because Pegasus was a mobile phone campaign, so why would you think? Then again, there was a lot of scaremongering, and there was a lot of noise in the media about this one. So I guess if you don't know, you don't know. If you see anti-Pegasus software, you're going to think, well, I better download that because that's, I've seen that in the news. I've seen that in the BBC. So I've got to be protected. And there's no other vendors, well, actually, I lie. I have seen some vendors I've said about anti-Pegasus stuff, but yeah, you're going to download it. You think it looks real. The website looks legit. So if I can, the image is really small. Let me see if I can pull up the website here.
I'm looking at the WHOIS history, the DNS resolution history for Amnesty versus Pegasus.com, one of the C2s, and it started out in Russia. Guess what?
Yeah, but attribute that's a topic for another day.
I've actually got something to talk about attribution. It's something I'm working on, so we can talk about that in a little bit as well. So I mean, it's a known rat called Sarwin. That's the rat that gets installed, and it's as the article says here, it's clear the actor is attempting to deceive concerned users in downloading and installing the fake antivirus software. However, we've yet to see a malicious advertisement or phishing campaign to promote the fake website. We currently have no information how the actor intends to attract targets to the fraudulent website. I mean, to be honest with you, it's easy. They're just going to send out phishing emails to say, you might have Pegasus on your machine. You should, download this this tool. But it is interesting, and I think we had the same thing with the beginning of coronavirus, and we still have it with the NHS app as well. People thinking that they need to download fake NHS apps or whatever. So that is interesting how they've found this. But I guess you've got to keep vigilant really to see if Amnesty International are putting out a website saying scan your computer for Pegasus, it's probably not going to be true. Yeah. And to be honest with you, if you've got Pegasus on your machine, like antivirus app's not going to help you because you're clearly a high enough target to warrant spending however much it costs to put you Pegasus onto your endpoint through physical plant or digital plant. So yeah. I know. I think I had a look at the tool, the official tool, if you like, from Amnesty called MVT, the Mobile Verification Toolkit, I think it's called, on GitHub. Because I tried to run it when I was doing that analysis on Pegasus I had a couple of Android virtual devices infected with what I thought was Pegasus. And so I ran MVT against them, but it kept failing. And I think it was because I was using an Android virtual device that something was fucking up with the file system and it couldn't find something or whatever. I'm not quite sure. I did try and patch the code and it still would. I was like, I gave up in the end. But when I, looking at the logic behind it's not. I wouldn't say 100% that this is like a silver bullet to go and find Pegasus, because it was literally just like parsing messages.json, whatever, from WhatsApp to see whether you've ever received a message that came from a known IOC, that kind of thing. So it all kind of depended on known IOC information, as opposed to like looking for the behavior of any malware, which it's just parsing a backup file and hoping that it's got some kind of malicious indicator in there. So it's hard, like you say. It's AV, whatever. It's not going to solve your problem. So.
No, you've got bigger problems if you actually do have the implant on there. But I guess we'll see. It's still early days for a lot of this, and it's I guess the biggest problem is this whole area of cybersecurity is heavily supported by by governments, either malicious intent or actual call it defense, actual legitimate defense. So it's heavily invested in by many governments. So who don't want this information in the wild. They don't want these tools to be burnt. They want these tools. It's really interesting because NSO are actually at a conference this week, and I had a look at one of the things that they were one of the products they were launching, and it was like an anti-drone product, which is really interesting. How you could you take over the drone over a remote execution and land
when you
it
talk
safely.
about drone, it isn't like the fucking little thing that I get for Christmas. It's like
like a DJI, Phantom kind of drone.
I thought you like the UAV. What do they call them? UAV.
UAVs, like the full-blown Boeing Raytheon ones. No, they just shoot those down.
Do you know? Would you know in one of those overhead, because they're so high up, aren't they? You can't even hear them, see them, whatever.
Know. I don't think you'd ever know.
Yeah, I don't think so either, because they take such like precise imagery and stuff. It's amazing. I don't know. Technology is crazy. How they managed to get themselves to infiltrate these countries with aerial technology that you can't detect on radar and whatever else. Very good.
But yeah, it will be interesting to see who, it says it's attributed to Russia, but it could be anyone really. It could be anyone. It could be someone just sat in their bedroom thinking, I can get a route on multiple machines here and under the guise.
I'm going to take a look at that malware. Good tip. Thank you for that.
And then I wanted to keep on the mobile type of train here. Is another nice story here from the recorded future. Is another strain of malware called Grit Horse. So nice name here. Grit Horse malware has infected more than 10 million Android phones. 10 million Android phones. That's a huge amount in over 70 countries. And this is the staggering statistic. And this is what makes crime so appealing. The gang is believed to be making $1.5 million to $4 million per month.
That's insane. Yeah, that is crazy. How does that work? It's
insane amount of money. So, discovered by mobile security firm Zimperium, the new Grit Horse malware has been distributed via benign-looking apps uploaded to the official Google Play Store on third-party Android app stores. When is Google going to solve this problem?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I know there's been cases where, like in the iOS store, something has slipped through the net, but Google have a massive problem with this.
Yeah,
like it just seems to be really proliferant all over the Google App Store. But I guess the only way to solve this problem is to gatekeep like Apple do.
Yeah,
is to every single app that is actually submitted, that it's reviewed by peers to make sure it's legit.
Yeah.
I know some level of that happens today.
Do you think, from the Apple's point of view, do you think I can understand that initial gatekeep to make sure that, like, an app doesn't contain malware or whatever? But what about the updates to that app? Do you think you could front it, put an app on the App Store in Apple, which looks like it's benign, whatever, but then you push a load of updates to it, which is malicious? Like,
I think that probably does happen. I think it probably just happened that you could, do some later like waterfall work and then make your app be malicious later on.
Yeah. But
there must be some sort of review process that every single update that goes through some sort of static code analysis or dynamic code analysis before they might do the because I'm just not an expert in this area, but I can imagine that they'll do static code analysis to start off with, just to see if there's any known badness in there. But as the app is run on the phones, they will dynamically analyze the code in like the first 1,000 downloads, and if it then becomes that it's malicious, they'll just pull it. Because did this happen with was it Fortnite where they deleted it off people's phones? What app was it? I'd have to Google this, but Apple have the ability to delete apps remotely.
Wow, interesting.
So I can imagine that they would do something like that. So anyway, this malware, if the user installs the malicious app, GritHorse starts peppering users with pop-ups and notifications that offers them various prizes and special offers. So that's a classic case of click here and you get something good. But unfortunately, when you do click there, you don't get anything good. What happens is you're pushed to enter your mobile phone number because you'll be text or the voucher or prize will appear. And what happens from there is you just signed up to a premium rate text messaging service. So it's gone from being like quite sophisticated in a piece of malware to like old school scams. Like I remember one of my first jobs in I know I can call it technology, was working at Virgin Mobile, and used to get so many calls from people incoming. Oh, why have I got these premium rate text messages on my phone? And I think, well, like, did you sign up to them? A lot of them were like, I text up to remember those like services back in the day, like, oh, get like sexy text messages. Like they'd sign up to those things in like the back of like Max magazine and stuff. Like, was it Max Power? That's Max it. Power. Remember Max Power magazine? Yeah. Yeah, they'd sign up to some of those like Max Power magazine stuff, and you'd get like, oh, sign up to like a £5 a week text message service. I used to get those all the time, but it's like mixing like old school scams with like new school techniques. Because those like text message, like premium rates text message stuff is really difficult to reverse because the networks can't do anything about it. And they will charge you regardless, unless you like. I think the only other way to get around it is pay the bill and then change your number and just have a new SIM card. So that's what we used to do. Is if a customer believed that it was a scam, they had to pay the bill, and that was it. And you just get a brand new number and just don't do it again. You've learned your lesson.
It's crazy.
It is. But I mean, this is just insane. Like what they've achieved here. So when you look at the breakdown of the applications on the App Store, 47.9% of the tools with this compromising or this piece of malware are like tool apps. So like the classic one would be like memory cleaners or flashlight tools. I remember that was a big like vector, like download this flashlight tool. You see them all the time, like brightest flashlight ever.
It can like read all your messages and stuff.
Yeah. So a lot of them was those, and then I got a couple of games, communications, dating apps, health and fitness and entertainment. But it's the amount of money they're making. 1.4 million to 4 million a month.
Yeah, that's insane, isn't it?
So according to researchers, the campaign has been starting since November 2020. And the last time the apps were updated was April 2021. So, it's definitely, it's still prevalent. It's still going on.
Yeah, even if they were like, chopped out of the game now, they've made a few quid there, haven't they? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and they're saying that one victim here had lost €200 before even noticing. Because you might see it just on your bill. Like, how often do you look at your phone bills? I know I get a text message every month to say this is what my phone bill is, but I guess some people don't. And it's difficult, like I said to you, it's really difficult to get rid of.
I get a text from O2. I'm on O2, and I get a text saying like, "Oh yeah, your bill's ready," but I don't know what it is until I like go and log in. I don't fucking bother logging in. You know what I mean? I haven't got exactly inclination. But I guess if all of a sudden I probably would notice something out of the ordinary on my like bank statement. But that says, what is out of the ordinary for one person might be out of the ordinary for someone else. If you're a millionaire, an extra 30 quid here and there is, you're probably not going to notice it, are you? So
no, exactly. So there's a whole list of applications on the Zimperium site. So it's blog.zimperium, ZIMPERIUM.com site. So 200 applications they identified.
Wow.
They've identified. One of the applications, which is called Handy Translator Pro, had 500,000 downloads.
500,000? That's insane. Yeah.
That's absolutely insane. So there's loads of them. iCare, Find Location, My Chat Translator, Fingerprint Changer.
Wow.
I mean, I think just looking at these app names, you just think, well, what are people looking for? like, what tools are people looking for?
Yeah, that's strange, isn't it? Yeah.
Keyboard themes, racing car simulator. I just what fathoms me is these are 200 applications. What are so have they either being able to slipstream some malicious code in legit applications, or have they spent time developing 200 applications? Like, I definitely have to look deeper into this one. But there's Emporium blog has got a really nice write up about the malicious JS code, and how it all works. But it's what grabbed me was the amount of money that they're making is just obscene. And to me, that level of money seems to be like a large nation state or a organized crime syndicate.
Yeah,
that's a serious chunk of change.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Have they got someone internally at Google just turning an eye saying, "Don't worry about these apps. They're all good"?
I don't know. Like you said, it's an open, prolific marketplace, isn't it? Where kind of not anything goes, but like it's easy to circumvent the basic controls, I think. And just so many people on, whether it's. I always wonder. A lot of I recently bought a new TV, which runs Google Android version, whatever, and you think, well, you're loading apps effectively from an app store, and imagine you could pwn a load of TVs. You're in people's living rooms all of a sudden. You know what I mean? With the capability to listen. And in fact, I seem to remember there was a recent article about this, about TVs being pwned. But you needed physical access to them. But if you could remotely access TVs, I guess on the internet or whatever, but or via a malicious app being loaded, that's the way to go, isn't it?
Well, do you remember that hack? And I think there's been a Dark Knight Diaries episode about this, where someone ran a remote code execution to play PewDiePie videos on TVs and print them out.
I remember the print thing. That was the Hacker Giraffe, whatever his name was.
Yeah. That was Hacker Giraffe, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There was another one where you could run YouTube videos on LG TVs. Had this problem.
Wow.
I can't remember what it was, but I think this has always been an issue for a long time, hasn't it? Since smart TVs have been coming out, people have always been concerned about these types of attack vectors.
Yeah,
because I had a Samsung TV which could never properly update, and I was always thinking that thing is ripe for being attacked, because it was always it communicates out with a server, God knows where, collecting information about, because it sits on the LAN as well.
Yeah,
someone could easily just log in, Nmap, tell you exactly what's in the LAN, send that up to whoever. But I could never get it to properly update. So I think what I did in my firewall was I gave it a static IP, and I just blocked all of its ports from communicating outside. Just because I was very paranoid about that TV, because it was used to fill me with dread, thinking, what is that thing doing?
Yeah, I've not checked my latest one. My latest one's a Philips. I did have a Samsung before that, and that was always the number one hitter on my Pi-hole DNS thing. For block traffic and stuff, and it's so noisy. And you think, what's it constantly communicating back to the manufacturers with?
Ads. You probably say this is what you're watching today. This how you can target people more.
Yeah, you wonder whether it's listening though, isn't it? I always think that it's listening to me. I mean, that fucking thing behind me probably knows half of the stuff that goes on in my world. It's always on.
Always on, always listening, and just piping information up to an AI somewhere.
Yeah. Hello, NSO.
Hi. Yeah, and it's they just pop up now again in the background. It's funny all that. As much as I say I worry about the Samsung TV, there's some people that really go to extreme lengths with some of this stuff, their home IoT setup. And to be honest with you, when you've got a family, it's just too much hassle. Things don't talk to each other properly, so I just can't be arsed in a day. I've got I've got my Hive like thing that controls a light bulb here and there, and I've got a Nest thermostat, and I've got some other bits and bobs, and they all sit on the same LAN segment. The only thing that's separated out is the like my computer setup here. But the only reason I set that up is different, is not for security reasons, but for bandwidth. That's the only reason. Because the rest of the network is super, super chatty. Yeah. Like you look at the ARP table and it's like full. I think it's like 40, 50 devices in that one line segment. And they're always checking out, like doing things in here, sending broadcasts. Who's this? Who's that? That's the only reason I have it segregated.
I always like a good old DNS rebinding attack. They're always good to try and compromise IoT devices from the outside, because whilst they're like in your LAN, like if what's the guy's name? Oh, Tavis or Mandy, who I'm pretty sure still works for Google's Project Zero. The guy's a fucking bandit. He's unbelievable. And anyway, he's like a DNS. In fact, he's got a little service you can go and use and to test stuff yourself. Like I think it's called like rebinder.us or something. And yeah, it will test. So you visit a website, and that website will like fake its DNS to look to change to appear to be localhost, and so it'll perform web requests from your local host. And because like the browser caches the request. Like you visit like example.com, and then example.com like makes a web request like / change my heating API. Like obviously that'll fail because that website doesn't exist, but then it will change its DNS resolution in the background for example.com to be like 127.0.0.1. And then all of a sudden, like it's looking for like the port number at whatever API is necessary to go and change your Hive heating and stuff. It's quite simple. It's really, really effective as well. And like I know this Ormandy guy, he found so many IoT devices vulnerable to DNS rebinding. Always worth a good check.
Yeah, that is interesting. But I guess a lot of these devices don't get updated as well.
Yeah, that's
especially if like they all use the same like Wi-Fi chipset and the same like compute chipset, and they just never really get updated. The firmware's built on initial like MVP, and then they just never change it from there. So there's a vulnerability. It's like, well, it's harder to actually push the vulnerability, the patch out than do anything else, or just leave it.
Speaking of which, Amazon have got an interesting IoT product, haven't they?
Yeah. Speaking of vulnerabilities,
speaking of malicious insiders.
Yeah, imagine one just. Do you know what it reminds me of? But it's called Astro Robot. Everyone's probably seen this because it's like the headline thing. But it reminds me of those like the little Hoovers, those little pod Hoovers that you used to have.
Henry Hoovers.
No, it has that like teardrop design. But yeah, Astro little Astro Plus Glow, whatever he's called here, little Alexa that roll around your house. This was more of a fun one to say. This is really interesting because I would just wonder how many InfoSec people would have one of these things in their house.
Yeah,
just scooting about, having a look at things, making sure you've turned your oven off. But
when I mentioned this to my wife, and she was like, "Oh, that'd be amazing." Every time I leave the house, I always think I've left the hair straighteners on and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was like, her instant question was, "Can it get upstairs?" I was like, no idea. I was like, "You probably need to buy two, one downstairs and one up." But yeah, I'd have one. I don't know.
Elon's robot that he's going to build.
Mate, scary stuff. Yeah.
But I love the article here. It's not just Alexa on wheels. Limp said it has eyes on its screen and can even has cup holders, because why not?
Sounds like Alexa to me. It's always listening to you.
Yeah,
it can see stuff. Yeah.
The designer said privacy is built at every single turn with out-of-bounds zones built in. You can even turn on do not disturb setting to minimize how much Astro moves day or night.
My dogs would have a field day. I wonder if it could take dog piss. You know what I mean? Like
my God,
a dog having a slash up against it. Dude, can you deal with that, Astro? Get out of the way of that.
I think it's one of those products which I mean, it's not accessible to the masses. It's 1,000 to start off with, and it's going to be invite only. I think
Really?
this
Didn't
is.
know that.
I think this is going to be Amazon just pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Well,
I think it's really interesting, but
I was going to call out Bezos then if he's listening, but he's probably not bothered about Amazon anymore, is it? Don't even know who's taking charge anymore. But Amazon, if you're listening, feel free to send us one. We will evaluate it for you from an information security point of view, and we'll let you know our thoughts. So.
yeah. From a security perspective, we'll have a look at it. We'd have to get like a hardware hacker on to say like what is possible with this.
Yeah. I know a few good hardware hackers. I'll be honest. We could get some people on.
Yeah, just to have a look at it, see if it's any remote executions on there. Start messing around with its JTAG ports, opening it up.
I do love a bit of JTAG. Yeah,
I can imagine if you open this thing up, it'd instantly call home and says, "I've been opened."
Yeah, you'd have to like
Faraday cage.
Faraday it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cute. I think if we can get one, that'd be fantastic just to have around. Imagine it around the office. Why can't it vacuum as well, though? It looks massive. Like, what is it doing? What's in there?
Is it like a big iPad on its face? Is that what it is?
I think so. I think it's a big iPad.
Don't tell me it's a fucking Kindle.
Let's see if this. Yeah, it would be like a Kindle paperweight as well.
Yeah.
I'd show you, but for some reason it's not working. Zoom is failing. Zoom
no way, you can't see.
me.
Are you saying you can't share your screen?
No, I'm trying to do it here, and it says no can do.
Really?
Yeah, it wants me to do the. I've got to like close it down and grant access and open it back up again.
I always say that to me as well. I just grant access and it still works though. So without closing down. But yeah, all good fun. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll jump into what I thought was quite an interesting story. Not story by any stretch of the imagination, but a situation with InfoSec Twitter recently. So let me share my screen here.
Let's have a look at this one. So what dramas?
Make sure I'm sharing the right one as well.
Yeah.
Good. So, Live Overflow on Twitter released. I had not seen any of this myself, but I find it quite interesting, the whole InfoSec Twitter space, bug bounty Twitter space, because people drop some amazing research and tips and things like that to like inspire people to get involved in these kind of different areas of cybersecurity. But then also sometimes it goes really fucking toxic, and it gets messy. And anyway, this is one of those situations where Live Overflow. I mean, you look at how many followers this guy's got. He's got like 84,000 followers. He's massive on YouTube. He's got I really respect his channel.
I watch his channel. Yeah,
his videos are fantastic. And anyway, he is kind of detailing the situation with this guy Jonathan Scott, and I've no idea who this guy is. I have seen him on Twitter floating about because I follow bug bounty hashtags, etc. But he was dropping this what he calls a fully validated report of a Verizon data leak, which he put on HackerOne, but apparently he was removed from HackerOne for being a whistleblower. And anyway, there's been a lot of back and forth, and he calls out. I mean, you can see some of the language that he uses to Live Overflow as a result of this whole situation. But the Live Overflow released all of the DMs between the two of them on Twitter, so you could read this story, how it unfolded. And basically, the situation is this: Jonathan Data releases this, what he says is a bug, that is a valid bug on Verizon Media's servers, etc., that he's been silenced over. And so Live Overflow is like, well, tell me about it. Like, what's the bug? Just so I understand it, because I don't quite get it. What is it? And it sounds like that he's found a load of open, for want of a better phrase, a load of open buckets on Yahoo's CDN that expose some potentially PII information. And he reported that. But it seems like it's like saying, well, and what Live Overflow is saying is like, well, yeah, if you find some data in an S3 bucket, for example, then you can use that data to expose some PII information. And so Live Overflow is like, well, yeah, if you find some data in an S3 bucket, for example, then you can use that data to expose some PII information. And so Live Overflow is like, well, yeah, if you find some data in an S3 bucket, for example, then you can use that data to expose some PII information. And so Live Overflow is like, well, yeah, if you find some data in an S3 bucket, for example, then you can use that data to expose some PII information. And so Live Overflow is like, well, yeah, if you find some data in an S3 bucket, for example, then you can use that data to expose some PII information. And so Live Overflow is like, well, yeah, if you find some data in an S3 bucket, for example, then you can use that data to expose some PII information. And so Live Overflow is like, well, yeah, if you find some data in an S3 bucket, for example, then you can use that data to expose some PII information. And so Live Overflow is like that belongs to an individual or a company or whatever, would you report that to Amazon, or would you report that to the company that is meant to be hosting your data correctly? Which is kind of like what he's done here. So he's basically reported it to Yahoo, saying like, your CDNs, your servers, cloud servers are, allowing for this information to be displayed. Anyway, to be honest, the issue itself is not really what I want to talk about. It's more about the toxicity of the InfoSec community sometimes, and this back and forth. And I felt it surprised me that somebody like Live Overflow, with his, he's got a massive following, he's got a lot of stuff going on his YouTube channel and his Twitter channel, etc., that he even took the time out to make a big deal out of this whole kind of debacle and situation, and he produced loads of this whole Twitter thread on it, which a lot of people were watching and commenting on and stuff like that as well. And it just kind of, it made me think, really, the reason why I'm talking about it made me think about Sturk Frederick. And he's got nothing to do with this situation, but it made me think about how I feel like Sturk has gone into the backdrop a little bit from someone in the bug bounty community who's massive. Like, he radically inspired me when I started to really get a bit more serious about video content production and stuff like that, and the bug bounty game especially. And his videos were enormously inspiring. And I know he inspires a lot of people. He's done some great talks and he's put out some great content, and he's done interviews with people on HackerOne and things like that as well. Yeah. And his YouTube channel is great, but he started to peel back or fade away into the what I see in from the limelight a little bit. And I just don't know whether, and I've asked Sturk to be on this show, but we've never quite made it work. But I just wondered whether he's experienced a lot of this toxicity himself as well. And I've seen him reference comments and things, and some of the videos, if you read the comments on YouTube, they're really vicious towards him, And I remember the one that he did with Tom Nom Nom.
Yeah.
I think he was talking about like JavaScript and stuff like that with Tom Nom Nom or whatever. And it was like, maybe it was like a relatively new concept to Sturk at the time or whatever, but they were quite basic principles that Tom was talking about. Or whether he was just kind of like, for the video going like, this is really interesting, like tell us more kind of thing to encourage the, the viewers. But people were ripping him to bits in the fucking comments. It was unreal. And I just think InfoSec Twitter, InfoSec YouTube, whatever, it can be quite vicious sometimes.
I think we said before I carry on, I've just had a look at his Twitter, and he posted today. Sturk posted today. How do I deal with negative comments?
You joking?
Yeah, today he has posted that, because I thought, let's see what he's up to. I have to admit, the reason why I stopped creating content on YouTube for a while was a result of negative comments.
Oh wow! I didn't even see this before we'd even started talking about it. That's crazy.
I have no issues with people questioning my technical abilities, calling me a fake or a noob, since that isn't true. But it's the comments about my looks, the sound of my voice, or who I am that hurts me the most.
That's crazy. He's like the sexiest man in Bug Bounty. Have you seen him? He's fucking unreal. I asked myself, I'm looking at the thread now, is it worth it? All the hours, all the hard work, all the editing to get anxiety around comments and $100 a month in AdSense? The answer was no. Wow. Do you know what? This is crazy.
It's bad, isn't it?
I was thinking about this, and he's obviously tweeted about it as well. So, but honestly, you read some of his comments on YouTube, and I'll be like, fuck me, I would not be posting content. He would have just, he's done way more than I would have done if I was getting the comments that he gets. And I'll be honest, 99% of my comments are really positive, I'll be honest with you, on YouTube that I do, but I've got nowhere near the amount of following that he's got. So I can imagine that he's amassed a load of noise, a load of, people, haters and stuff like that as well. But I don't get it, because his content's fucking brilliant.
And I think, so my thoughts on this is, I think from a mental health perspective, he's probably doing the right thing. He's removing himself from the situation, because the situation is putting him down, and it's not the right headspace for him. But the issue with that, I think the issue that he'll have now is the people slinging negativity at him have now won.
Yeah,
because that's what they want him to do. They want him to go away. They want him to feel bad about himself. They want him to self-loathe and wallow in it. And they've won. And so, congratulations on that. But I just think I've always thought, right, if you don't like something that you see on the internet, move on. Like, what's the point in like commenting, saying on someone's looks and how he's presenting and blah blah blah? If you don't like it, then you don't like it. Click the next video, change your YouTube algorithm, go to something else. There's tons of InfoSec content out there. Like, you might not like this, for example. You might call us absolute, idiots and don't know what you're talking about, and you'll be correct.
Yeah, we're clowns.
Yeah. And we're proud. We're proud for that, and I welcome that criticism. But yeah, for someone who makes like fantastic content, the like actual concepts are really interesting, and they're at a level which is understandable for not just everyone in InfoSec. So you're starting out or you're advanced, and the quality is fantastic as well. I
think, well, you're right. Production quality of his videos are fucking brilliant, right? He's got the music down, he's got the vibe going on, he's got the lighting and shit like that. He's in some fancy kind of shop fronty officey space, which he's got in the middle of Stockholm, and it looks fucking brilliant. And he's kitted it out. He's got HackerOne trophies all over, and you look at photos of his setup. He's got like proper lighting rigs. He's got proper cameras, and all the MacBook screens and everything. Like it looks. He's invested clearly a lot of money in like his production setup, like fucking 10 times what me and you we're talking to each other looking at a fucking iPhone, for God's sake. But like, yeah. And then you think, and also, because I used to quite like watching his Bounty Thursdays things, and I can only imagine that what I don't think he did, which I'm not saying he should have done this, but I think a lot of people in the bug bounty community expect, which is wrong for them to expect this, is for you to start dropping bombs all the time, saying this is how you go and find a fucking 10 grand vulnerability in Yahoo, and this is what it looks like. And that's not how it works. No one's going to lead you down that path in bug bounty to say, here's a bug, here's how you go and find it, there's a million of them on the internet. And I reckon that's what a lot of people thought his content would be about. And actually what he's about is showing the pathway into bug bounty, some of the challenges around it, some of the tools you can use. He's giving you the vehicle to go and drive yourself. But what he's not doing is not getting you behind the wheel and actually telling you this is the direction you need to go in. You've got to find your own way. And for, I would say, 75% of the audience, people get that. Like me, like, fucking hell, that's really inspiring. You're giving me some directions. You're giving me some hints and tips. And yes, some stuff I know already, some stuff I've learned. And that's worth a watch, that's worth a like, that's maybe worth a comment, but it's not worth like a downvote and a negative comment, taking the piss out of his voice or his looks or whatever. And I think, for starters, the guy sounds amazing. He looks amazing. He's got a lot of well-connected friends who know what they're talking about. He's around that circle of people who he's soaked a lot of knowledge up from. What's wrong with that? You know what I mean? He's a guy that we should be promoting.
Yeah, because I think I've said this previously, maybe not on this show, but I've said this somewhere before that one of the biggest issues with InfoSec is there's not enough people within this industry who who can have like technical ability and actually have like personal ability as well. You can sit in front of a camera or sit in front of someone else and articulate topics that are complicated. And I think Sturt was really good at that. He was really good at talking. He was really good at expressing his feelings and his opinions over. And I think InfoSec, if he was never to return, I think that would be a massive loss. And he'll probably just concentrate on doing his own personal thing and absolutely killing it in his personal life. But we'll never see it again. And I will admit there is a lot of InfoSec content out there, but a lot of it's a little bit sameish, or it's either extremely technical and it has that original InfoSec bubble around it. Like you've already got to have 10 years experience to even understand what they're talking about. Or it's
badly produced. Like it's like unwatchable content, like my fucking channel. That like that is just it's not it's not kind of like
entertaining.
It's not entertaining. It's not YouTube-esque. You know what I mean? Where he's got that capability to like, give you a real, a video you want to watch. It's pleasing on the eye. It's got some nice music on there. He's really great editing. I don't know. And
he used to do those vlogs, didn't he? It was like Life of a Hacker vlogs where he'd go like different H1 competitions. They were fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking at my DMs at the moment, and I remember when I messaged him about coming on the show. I think it was to do with a similar tweet at the time. Well, I was like, he must have tweeted something about like feeling low or feeling shit in the industry, and I'd be like, come and talk on our show about it. And we DM'd a little bit, and we went back and forth. And this, I'm looking back now, it's back in April, I think. I circled, February, March or something, or whatever. Unfortunately, we didn't get to make it happen. Maybe there's another opportunity for us to bring him on.
Yeah, but I think we've said this so many times before, and InfoSec is the only industry that I know of that has this problem.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
I think it's full of a lot of smart people who all want to be known as being smart. It's like you can't be quietly confident and smart and show how good you are through your ability in solving problems for the greater good. It's like you've got to be smart, and everyone has to know how amazing you are. Doesn't matter how you do it, either through belittling someone else or going and hacking some sort of platform and saying, "Oh, I'm going to dump all this on here, and look how amazing I am at doing it, and no one else could figure it out. Look how I figured this out."
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I don't know. I'd love to to chat with Sturk about it, get into his mind a little bit, and see what's been going on, what kind of makes him tick, and hopefully, I don't want to lose him from the community, from the industry. I would hate to see his channel disappear, but
yeah,
I mean, I think he's looking at the financials of it. He's commenting there, he's mentioning like he's doing what for like $100 or whatever it is every now and again in AdSense. You don't get anything from AdSense from unless you're like producing content of you and your fucking kids playing games on the internet and stuff like that. That's how you get your millions of views nowadays. I don't think the InfoSec channels necessarily are gonna be something that people like earn a living from. Because it's quite a niche market, isn't it?
It's very niche, and it doesn't hit the algorithm, does it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although I don't know. That said, I look at like there's another channel I really admire on YouTube, the PC Security channel, which is run by Leo. Leo, super knowledgeable. He's been doing it for years. He's got a massive following. If I remember rightly, he's got like 180,000 followers or something stupid on the subscribers, whatever. Huge audience, and his videos are really good. They're actually quite simple in terms of production. They're all voiceover predominantly. Voiceovers, him running some ransomware in a VM and whatever. But they're really well edited. They're really sharp. They're really crisp, and there's no fucking about in them. And he must be cleaning up, you know what I mean? Because he's got the kind of like consumer edge. If you were like, your mum who wanted to understand about antivirus or something, he's got like a comparison of the top 5 AVs or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Cool. So that he's got that kind of angle to it, but also he's got the technical side as well. So he kind of appeals to both communities. So I don't know, maybe I'm waffling, but I think there's a lot of room for a Sturk Frederick in this place, and fuck those haters, like fuck them. So
yeah, just keep doing it. Push.
What content have they produced? What's their knowledge? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It'd be a Russian troll farm, won't it? Really.
That's another.
It could be it could be bots. It could be bots thinking we got to take this guy out. We've got to make him stop making content. Who knows? Who knows who? What it is or what to believe anymore. But yeah.
Anyway, so that was that. We also got the epic hack fallout.
Yeah.
Heard about this?
I haven't. No.
Epic. Didn't I reckon? So. And our good friend Mr. Watts, we've been chit-chatting about this in the background with me and Steve. So there's a hack of Epic, who are an internet service company affiliated, well, not affiliated, but like these are basically a domain registrar, and a lot of alt-right, far-right, kind of dark side of the internet websites were hosted or registered through their platform. They were breached by Anonymous fairly recently. And all of their data, all of it, the company data has been dumped online, freely available, like hundreds of gigabytes of data. And it basically includes like all their SQL databases, all their Whois database is that they were scraping Whois data from all around the internet. I know that like some of the organizations I've been involved with have been pinged from Have I Been Pwned, for example, because their email addresses are in the Whois data that's been scraped and stuff like that. But I've seen stories where, you know, there's people in the US, I think predominantly, you know, just general kind of, there's an infamous one, this real estate agent in Florida. He's previously known to have registered like racisminc.com and whitesencyclopedia.com, that kind of website, and then all of a sudden he's lost his job because, you know, his employer has seen that and doesn't want him affiliated with the company, etc. So there's that kind of fallout, but I think there's so much data to go through for people to research through. It's almost like the WikiLeaks, you know, kind of Vault 7 dump of like that kind of volume of people are going to start making connections now between, you know, the users and the registrants of these alt-right websites. And it's just going to be a field day with the data.
Any information on initial attack vector, or how did they?
Yeah, I don't know, actually. I don't know whether Anonymous have said. But yeah, I who knows? Maybe we could. I'm not going to say we can ask. I don't want to ask them. I don't want to engage. But like, I'm sure something will come out eventually. I don't know. I think a lot of the data is, you know, SQL data. So maybe there's a SQL injection case somewhere. I don't know.
Open port somewhere. Something like that, yeah.
But now I think in the last few days they've released another set of data dumps, which is the actual images of the company servers, which has got a lot of API keys and tokens and stuff like that. So that's really going to have a bit of an impact. So
it's interesting because you think you listen to this and you think, well, are they doing good? Like, is it a pro humanity thing because they're like getting rid of hate speech, or like what was the motive behind this? Was it just to say, again, to show how good they are, or was it to take something offline that's terrible? I don't know what the motive is for this one.
Yeah, I feel like it's more the latter. I'm passing the article at the moment from the Washington Post, and it says Aubrey Cottle, Anonymous, who co-founder of Anonymous, declined to share information about the hack's origins, but said it was fueled by the hackers' frustration over Epic serving as a refuge for far-right extremists.
Okay.
Everyone is tired of hate. There hasn't been enough pushback, and these far-right players, they play dirty. Nothing's out of bounds, and now the tide is turning. That's what he's saying. So, sounds like the latter, what you're talking about. So, you know, it's almost hard to disagree with their motivations. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you wonder whether there's going to be innocent, I don't know, people caught up in the crossfire. You know, genuine people, not every website on Epic is going to have been alt-right, you know what I mean? So there's going to be some collateral, surely.
I think what from my perspective, is they're probably they're trying to expose like sympathizers. Is that Epic is a racist sympathizer, so we're going to take him down. Doesn't matter who was on there. Like if you were there legitimately, but you know what they do, so you're accepting, you're giving them money to accept money from other places. I guess the problem here is America, and a lot of the people in power will sympathize with Epic, so this will probably end up in that type of court case where they'll start, handing out cease and desist and DMCAs to everyone who posts this online because they'll have that power, unfortunately. Or I don't know, as the times changed in the US, well, someone will look at this and say, yeah, we're not going to get involved in that at all because it's got stink written all over it, regardless of what the information that's been posted.
Yeah, well, definitely one to watch. I'm imagining over the next coming weeks and months, as all of the data is examined and passed and snippets are pulled out and put together and stuff like that, there'll be some interesting chain of events. So I
thought we can have a look at this one, which is I'm going to send you the link because I still can't share mine. But the whole gist of this one is security researcher disclosed 3 0-day iOS vulnerabilities after receiving no update or no communication from Apple. So a Russian security researcher, oh, you've got it there. So some of the sites in Russian, some of it's in English there. So a researcher that was participating in the Apple Security Bug Bounty Program reported 4 days to Apple in March 10th, and in May 4th there was iOS 15 was released. One was fixed in 4.7, but Apple decided to cover up the security. They do this thing where they release like updates, but they don't tell you what the CVEs are until like the next one later. So what the research is basically saying here is that he's got a couple of, if you scroll down a bit further in the page, he's got he's got some 0 days here, which he that he had got no response from Apple. That Apple have just kind of washed over them and decided to move on. And I thought this is a good one for you to look at because this is your area of expertise, something you probably experienced a few times.
This is interesting. Yeah, I've not seen this article, so definitely want to get some teeth into. But it seems like, this is like full information, isn't it, on how to take advantage of these weaknesses. That's interesting.
Apple are having a bad time at the moment, aren't they?
I know, yeah. Not only them. Well, to be honest, do you know? I think I'm connecting dots here that might not exist. But do you remember there was recently some research by a well-known HackerOne researcher, Alex Bursan. I'm pretty sure it was him, who is also responsible for the what was that fucking thing called where they were looking for different versions and stuff like package managers and stuff like that. I can't remember it. Anyway, I'm sure it was him and one or two others started looking at Apple's infrastructure on the bug bounty side of things, and they found shitloads of stuff. They got RCE all over the show, and they walked away with like 100 grand's worth of bounty at least, and there was a big write-up about it where they did a load of recon on Apple's IP address space, and they found all sorts of stuff on the internet. And then I feel like since then, everyone's jumped on. I'm not saying this guy's done it because he's clearly like a very, very skilled researcher. But everyone started like jumping on Apple's bug bounty program, and it feels like after that they started like backing off and like not paying out and giving researchers a hard time and stuff like that. So you wonder whether or not they're almost kind of like disengaging from the security community a bit, and they'll only deal with like super serious stuff that maybe is well publicized or whatever. I don't know. Dependency confusion was what I was thinking of earlier, by the way. But yeah, it seems weird. Why do you want to piss off the research community? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because all that will happen is rather than going to Apple with this, it'll just go to someone else and say, I'll take $500,000 for this 0 day.
Why I don't get is, this guy has dropped these 0 days on the internet. Why not go to Zero Diem, the 0 day initiative or whatever, and just give it to them? I don't get it. If you're after bug bounty, if you want some bounty reward or whatever, then go and sell it.
Just drop it on the internet, drop it on Twitter, and say 3 Apple 0 days. Here you go. Do what you want with it. It gets notoriety. We're talking about him. It was picked up by loads of other. Look how many comments he's got. It gets picked up by news outlets. It gets picked up by loads of places. So,
yeah. But then I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's that. It wouldn't be put it this way, it just wouldn't be a route that I would personally choose to go down. If I had a 0 day, could you technically call if I found a bug in an Apple app, is it a 0 day? I don't know.
I guess you don't know because you don't know if anyone else has found it, or I guess until they say, yep, this is new, no one else has found this, then I guess that at that point it is a 0 day. I was just looking through this website here. It looks like Apple have responded, but they are having a look into they are looking into this. But yeah, I think it was just important to have a look at, because every single time we have these chats is that there's been like mass amounts of Apple vulnerabilities recently, and it probably is the fact that people are jumping on Apple a lot. I guess they've been paying out considerably, and now they're probably tightening the belt. Like they need to tighten the belt realistically. There's been lots of Apple vulnerabilities, and there's been lots of we haven't touched on any other Google ones either. But there's been lots of Chrome vulnerabilities as well. So it's just like, what is it like? Is it are we just in a time where researchers are getting better, or are developers just getting sloppier?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything, isn't it? You know, there's more and more attack surface to target all the time, and then the research community is continuously advancing skills. There's more incentives if there's these bounties on offer.
Yeah.
There's just a melting pot of everything, really, isn't there? So yeah, it's crazy. Well, cybersecurity landscape is the gift that just keeps on giving, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It is. You've got Grit Horse with people making £1 million a month with tech scams. Might have to look into that one. Additional revenue stream. You know what? I might bring out the adverts again. Text here for free antivirus.
Yeah, link in the description below.
Yeah, for vast free antivirus. It protects you from everything. You only have to pay £12 a month.
Right. Well, listen, it's been a good pod, mate.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Right. Well, until next time.
Speak to you soon.